Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to do kind of an epilogue on September and all of the crazy stuff that has happened at G4, but I also want to ask the question, was this all planned? Did G4 actually set Frosk up to fail? Without further ado, let's get into the story. And here we have it. This posted on Tuesday, which was September 20th. X-Play host Frosk out at G4 a week after layoffs. Also, the update that is Pereira will also be departing in October. Honestly, I think G4 is just done. I think if they had made these adjustments a while back, like months ago, then maybe they might have had an opportunity to right the ship and save themselves. But honestly, this should have happened 3 months ago. In any case, let's cover this from Kotaku. A week after big layoffs rocked the network, Kotaku has learned that X-Play host Indiana Frosk Secure and Black is no longer with G4. Comcast, G4's parent company, bought out the remainder of her contract. Now, what does that mean? That means she got fired, all right? The company doesn't buy out the remainder of your contract if you quit, all right? If you leave of your own accord, they're never going to do that. Now, if they fire you and they feel like, this is like your parting gift and this is kind of to smooth things over and make them look, very generous and benevolent, this is a little bit of a shield for G4 by saying, hey, we bought out the remainder of her contract. She got a great exit on this deal, which she did. Like, absolutely. I don't know what her contract's worth. I don't fucking care. But buying out the remainder of her contract is a generous send-off gift for her. So make no mistake, she got fired. But let's see what happened. Let's look back at the timeline of everything that happened and then ask ourselves this question: was G4 actually setting her up all along? I think maybe they were. G4TV's post-Frosk rant woes continue as network president Russell Aarons jumps ship, leaves position after less than a year. September 1st, 2022. So this is what happened the beginning of this month. I mean, this is only September 22nd here, so a lot has happened in the past 3 weeks. At the very beginning of September, Russell Aarons, the network president, leaves. Now, about a day later, we find out this, and that is G4 finally hid the Frosk rant on the same day the president left the network. Now, it did kind of come out until the next day when it was posted by Vera Dart. And then, of course, the laughing emoji, and you're about 8 months too late, guys. And that was absolutely on point. But everybody just kind of glossed over the fact that they removed their support. What does that mean? They removed their support for Frosk. They removed her rant. But it gets even bigger than this. And that is, this was covered the next day by Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. G4 deletes all support for unhinged Frosk rants. Fans win as company disaster continues. And this means that they had not just deleted the offending YouTube rant, but they had deleted tweets as well that showed their support for the offending rant, meaning that fans, yes, did finally win. Of course, the company didn't, because they drove away all those fans. And then, of course, within maybe 10 days then from that, G4TV was hit with major layoffs. So by mid-September, huge layoffs. And make no mistake, 20 to 30 staff members, that's a huge number of layoffs, especially given how many views they get. Let's pop over to their channel real quick. And we could see that, obviously, if they're firing 20 to 30 people, then they've got even more than that. So how many people do they actually have there on staff? I don't know. So who knows what the final numbers are. But look at these views. 11K, 33K, 7, 56, 10. I mean, these are not bad numbers necessarily for a channel with 490K subscribers. But that would be great for a channel if that channel was run by like an individual who had maybe 1 or 2 people helping them out. But for a channel run by, well, somewhere between 50 to 60, maybe even more people, This is not nearly enough views. It's definitely not enough at all. And then, of course, the next day after the news broke that layoffs had occurred, we get this absolute brain dead tweet from Frosk, and that was this "I survived" meme. Let's play some games, yo. That was on September 15th. Now, this is less than 24 hours after 20 to 30 of her friends and colleagues have been fired. This is completely tone deaf. It lacks empathy. Look, this is a woman who is hidden behind her identity politics and behind her victimology for most of her life. She's always been the victim, and she's never had to put herself in anyone else's shoes because she's always the one bemoaning her lot in life. She doesn't have to think about other people. Other people have to think about how she feels. That's exactly how she comes across. This is why she lacks empathy, in my opinion. You know, when you're constantly the victim and you become such a narcissist that everything is about you, and you become this person who lacks any empathy towards others, and you simply lack the ability then to put yourself in someone else's shoes, to see your actions through someone else's eyes, that's when you fuck up monumentally. And trust me, this was a huge monumental fuck up. And this was exactly what G4TV had been waiting for all along. This is why they didn't fire her in the mass layoffs. I imagine the reason why they didn't fire her in the mass layoffs is because they were worried about blowback from it. Because yes, if they had, Frosk would have used her identity politics shield and gone out and banged on her shield about how this was, you know, some sort of misogyny, or this was anti-LGBTQIA or something like that. You know, it would have been she would have played some kind of victimology card. Absolutely. And I'm sure Comcast and G4 didn't want to have to deal with that. So instead of firing her, they simply let her hang herself. Look, this is something that has actually happened to me in my professional career, where I had an issue with someone, and you know, a wise person pulled me aside and said, "Brett, you don't have to fight them. You don't have to fight this person, okay? You just have to let them hang themselves. Understand their behavior, understand their tendencies, and then place them in a situation where they're going to do what they do, but do it in a very public manner." And that's exactly what I did. And I had a nice, very large meeting where I allowed this person to do exactly what I knew they were going to do. And they came off looking like a fucking idiot, like a complete dumbass. And I walked out of that fucking meeting and I was the happiest guy ever. I didn't have to fight that person anymore. They looked like an absolute piece of shit. And they did it all on their own. Is that what G4 essentially did here? I think it is. We know that she made this tweet on the 15th. The 16th is the last time, according to the Wayback Machine, that we see any mention of @G4TV host in her Twitter bio. And we know the 16th was a Friday. So by that weekend, I had the feeling that she knew that she was gone, that she was done, and she was out at G4. I honestly think that by Friday, by end of business Friday, because that's when you fire people. You fire people on Friday if you have to. If something like this, you have to let them go, you let them go on Friday. I think by the end of Friday, she knew she was done. So by Monday, people became aware of this. By Monday the 19th, people were beginning to talk about the fact that G4TV host was no longer listed in her bio. And then by Tuesday the 20th, of course at the end of business on that day, she had announced that yes, she was no longer at G4TV. Meaning that by Monday, basically all the I's had been dotted and the T's had been crossed, and her contract had been bought out. The paperwork was done, the ink was dry. And of course, this take, I mostly agree with this take from Ryan. The crazy part is that G4TV wasn't even going to fire Frosk. No, they were not going to fire her. They were going to let her fire herself. And that was, they weren't going to fire Frosk until she made that brain dead tweet shitting on all the people who she got fired What a dumb fuck, lol. Yeah, absolutely. She wasn't going to be fired, but they were looking for an excuse to let her go. They were setting her up and looking for any excuse to let her go. Because remember, at the beginning of the month, they had already started to distance themselves from her. They had removed support for Frosk at the beginning of September. When they hid that rant, when they deleted the tweets, that was symbolic of them removing support for Frosk. And now if they had fired her on the 14th along with everyone else, they were worried about backlash. But they were also confident of one thing, and that was of Frosk's ability to be Frosk. And sure enough, within 24 hours, she gave them the excuse they needed. And as a result, she's no longer employed at G4TV. Now that's just my thoughts on how this played out. You let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did G4TV absolutely set Frosk up and just allow her to hang herself? I think they did, but you can tell me what you think in the comments below. In the meantime, you want to continue to support the channel, then please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. We are targeting 1,000 subscribers, so every subscriber helps out immensely. If you like what you've seen, then please do subscribe. But that's all I have for now, so I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.